Everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, folks.
And I still don't quite have a voice, but it is getting better.
Yes.
Two movies this week, Ryan. One in theaters, one streaming. Let's talk about the 6-man team elephant in the room.
You mean the good one?
The good one, which of course is Thunderbolts, which I'm sure the fact that we called it the good one surprised a bunch of people leading in.
Yeah.
Look, Ryan, you and I have expounded, not as ad nauseum as the internet hate industry has.
Sure.
But quite a bit on Marvel's recent troubles.
Yes.
And we agreed that after Captain America 4 came out and didn't do as well as we had hoped.
Yeah, well, and I mean, yes, in both box office and I think as a film.
Right. We knew we had Thunderbolts.
Yes.
And we have Fantastic Four. And we said, I'm still a little more to the side that the Fantastic Four is the make or break point. But
sure.
If Thunderbolts bombed, both creatively and from a financial standpoint, then Marvel was really, really in trouble. Like, not that they haven't been.
Yeah. No, but it would have been all hands on deck, sort of, yes.
Yes. So Thunderbolts comes out tomorrow night. That would be Thursday if you're going to see an early screening, but technically Friday. And we saw it Monday.
Yes.
And I, for one, I wanted it to be good. I wanted to enjoy it. But I was concerned because they've given me every reason to be concerned. That said, imagine my surprise when I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, it's weird. Every once in a while, I'll mention something my wife says when she comes to these screenings for movies that she wants to see. And we left, and she goes, my only problem with the film, and I was like, oh, here comes something I didn't see. She goes, my only problem with the film, she goes, was that at one point I saw Florence Pugh's stunt double because the wig was so bad. And I was like, that's what she's got. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was, but again, normally she'll find something that I won't see or I'll overlook or, whatever, but that's what she had. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, nope. She goes, I liked it. And I'm like, okay, you got the normie,
mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. So, we don't talk about these until we talk about these. So Ryan, where were you going in? Where were you coming out?
I think I tried not to have expectations going in just because of the recent track record. And, I mean, obviously, every movie I go into, I want to like. But, I mean, I grew up reading some comics, maybe not as many as some people, but I had an affinity for Marvel. Obviously, I enjoyed much of, the glory days, I guess, which really weren't that long ago, but it feels like forever ago. So, I was hopeful, but I don't know that I hadn't seen any trailers. I hadn't really read any of the, preview pieces or anything. So I just kind of went in and said, I just want to walk out of this having enjoyed it. And so that, it was a very, very simple sort of hope.
Right.
And I think I got more than what I was, even hoping for, which is really nice. Because it's kind of a strange little film, particularly kind of the boss battle and all the sort of things that happen. It's not exactly a traditional superhero movie, but I think it has all the elements that people want from a superhero movie. I don't. Yeah, it was. I really quite enjoyed the experience, and it's a obviously getting some hate from certain corners of the world, but from a lot of the people who aren't extremists or who aren't predetermined, the conversation's been very positive.
Yeah, the comparison, the early comparisons, of course, were, oh, this is Marvel's Suicide Squad.
But it wasn't.
It's a stretch.
It's not exactly. I mean,
Only in
yes, on
terms of
paper,
team construction
yes. On
or
paper, yes.
membership, I should say.
Yes. Yes. On paper, yes. But as far as tone and a lot of other things go, it's not.
No,
And I think that it needed to not be.
oh, absolutely. Or I mean, if it had just been the Suicide Squad, there's no way it would have been fun. And it
No,
is fun.
and I guess we're referring mostly to James Gunn's version, but he already had his Marvel thing, obviously with Guardians, and so this didn't need it to be different. We didn't necessarily need or want another Guardians film,
No,
particularly with these characters. So this I think is a film it's different from the other films, but I mean, obviously slots in just fine, which actually is kind of different because a lot of the recent films haven't slotted in very well.
well, and you know what? That's what's funny is that well, let's run down the team real quick. So
Okay.
we have Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow.
Yeah,
We have
sister. Yeah.
Winter Soldier. We have the Red Guardian. We have John Walker, aka U.S. Agent / ex Captain America. We have Ghost. We have Bob,
Mhm.
played by Lewis Pullman, and we briefly have Taskmaster.
Yes.
But then we also have, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine as our antagonist.
She's whatever she is.
Yeah, whatever she is. But in terms of slotting this film into the MCU greater, these characters, you can stretch them back out to where they came from because they all came from different places.
Yeah.
But in terms of this film, until you get to the end, this is a perfectly embubbled little standalone.
Yes.
It exists and acknowledges the greater MCU. And I mean wider, not better when I say greater. But it is its own film. Again, until we get to the end, and by the end, I specifically mean the post credit sequence, because it's not even a stinger or a scene; it's a sequence.
Yeah.
So it manages to do both things. It is a standalone film that works, but it then allows you to see the greater MCU as it will be moving forward, and implies their place in it without foot stomping necessarily or overblowing those connections.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool place for this film to end up.
Well, I think that's sort of where the initial Marvel films were, where they were all pointing towards something, but they didn't necessarily the movies themselves stood on their own, but it also was setting something up.
Yes,
and it didn't
let's be
tell
clear,
you everything.
We've been complaining because it feels we have said that most of the recent Marvel projects haven't done anything except set stuff up.
Yeah, the exact yes. But
They
even
haven't done
then,
anything
what were
in
they
and of
doing?
themselves.
Yeah,
And this one has.
yeah.
Which again, nice change. It's a nice callback.
Yes.
Now it also, I feel compelled to point out that the guy that directed this, Jake Schreier, has previously directed Selena Gomez music videos.
Yes, quite a few.
Some episodes of Skeleton Crew.
Yes, Skeleton Crew, I think, was the one thing that I went, okay, well, maybe.
He did some work on Brand New Cherry Flavor, which if you haven't watched that miniseries, I believe it's on Netflix. That's a brain melter. But none of this stuff screams Marvel Method cinematic universe.
No.
Color me surprised.
Yeah, they took I don't know if they took a risk, but I think yeah, they took someone who may not have been an obvious pick, which is good. I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, but sometimes they're out of their element. But anyway, that definitely wasn't the case here. No, I think it's often funny, but as you would expect. But I
Yes.
think the thing that sets this one apart, and the one thing that I talked about when I left the theater with a few people, is it's the first time I felt emotionally involved in a Marvel film in years, like really actually involved. Um,
And what's funny is the reason why, which we will talk about. A lot of the film is about isolation and depression. Let's just
yes,
get it out there.
yeah,
A lot of people, all these people are alone.
hmm
They've been separated, so they're emotionally alone, they're physically alone, and they've suffered from depression of some sort, whether it's clinical depression or just woe is me depression.
yeah.
But a
But
lot of people, well, a lot of the haters, they're like, I don't want to see my Marvel heroes depressed. Conversely, when you go back to phase one, I guarantee you, if you go dig, and I know we said something along these lines, what made Marvel great was that when they cast these things, they cast the people to they cast the person, not the hero, because
yes,
the people, and even going back to the comics, the people had real issues
a lot of them, yeah, absolutely. And that's
that
what's
they had,
funny
whether
is
whether it was Peter Parker's Uncle Ben dying, whether it was the Fantastic Four getting evicted from the Baxter building, whether, whatever. These
you
people had
know,
problems.
sure, it's Tony Stark
So,
being an alcoholic,
right.
womanizing.
So it's like you can't say on the one hand, I don't want my heroes with problems, but then say what made these heroes great was that they were people with problems.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like, no, 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 you can't have it. The same thing cannot be true twice. Or the opposite things can't both be
yeah.
true here. So, yes, these characters have problems, and that does make them relatable.
I mean, the Hulk is literally split bipolar. Anyway,
Real, he is type 1 bipolar.
I
He
mean,
might
if
be
we,
type 0.
yeah, that's a pretty. I mean, I hadn't seen that argument, but if that's the argument, I think that it's pretty empty. Um, I mean, it doesn't just apply to Marvel. I mean, Batman, he's pretty messed up.
Yep.
Superman's pretty messed up. I mean, that's the thing that makes Superman interesting in the modern take is that he emotionally isn't really prepared to be Superman.
No.
Otherwise, he'd be kind of unstoppable. But anyway, that's a really bizarre take if
Yeah.
that's what they're taking, because pretty much every infamous, famous, beloved superhero and or villain is built around their psyche,
Yeah.
um, fragile as it might be.
Now, let me, I touched on the director. One of the writers on this, Eric Pearson, if you go back, he wrote on Black Widow, he wrote on Ragnarok, he wrote on Godzilla versus Kong, which I won't hold against him. He wrote on Transformers 1, which everyone loved,
Yes,
apparently.
I did.
But he
Yes.
also, if you go back, those are fairly recent. He's a Marvel vet, because if you go back, he worked on the Agent Carter TV series 2015, 2016.
Hmm.
He did a bunch of Marvel one shots in the early 2010s. So he isn't just some guy off the street.
Now he might be the magic elixir.
Well, he might. I mean, let's assume he went back and he he brought old Marvel to new Marvel. And if that's the case, I'll be interested to see if he gets any more work
Yeah, sure. Keep
with
him.
Marvel.
Yeah, keep him going.
Yeah. So I looked that up and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I
That
like
is interesting. Yeah.
it. And he also worked, and it said here, now I do feel good. He worked on the script for Fantastic Four.
There you go.
So, although to be fair, he apparently at some point was working on Blade.
Well, but that's
I don't
but
blame
we
him. I blame Marvel for that.
well, and I don't know that Blade's issue was anyway,
Yeah,
but that's a whole can of
that is a
things.
whole again. But he worked on Fantastic Four, and it's like, oh.
Well,
So
you have to like that.
I do like that. Again, my at the end of my comics career, I go back. My two titles were Iron Man, which kickstarted the MCU, and Fantastic Four, which we have not been able to get a decent one of yet.
Yeah.
So we didn't screw up Iron Man. We now have Fantastic Four. Please don't. I feel much better now about the Fantastic Four. I don't know who's directing Matt Sheckman, who did the WandaVision, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of WandaVision. So now I feel better. The question is how much does the casting affect what they're doing? And did Marvel lean more on Fantastic Four because of its importance over something like Thunderbolts?
Yeah, we'll
However,
see.
just from a purely
Yeah.
creative standpoint, I feel
Yeah.
much better.
Well, I mean, Fantastic Four is Marvel's first family.
Yes.
That's kind of the subtitle. But so yeah, I mean, the fact that they haven't been able to get Fantastic Four really off and going is maybe not as tragic to the modern fan or fans who don't necessarily care or have a sense of the history, but Fantastic Four is kind of the Marvel lifeblood for quite some time. So hopefully they
Yeah.
can get it. Hopefully they
Hopefully they
can.
can get it. But on Thunderbolts, so
Yeah.
we have this ensemble cast, which is I think the character interactions are great.
Yeah, and there is some arc to the characters as well.
There are, but none of the characters feel tweaked
No,
to fit these exchanges.
No, it's more of and like you said earlier, these are individuals who are pretty much accustomed to working alone or who have proven that they don't work very well with others.
They have trust issues.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trust issues in here. I mean, forget the depression. There's just trust issues across the board in this. But in the end, and I said this in my review, in the end, this is Yelena's movie.
Oh, sure. Well, she's and obviously she is probably the most recognizable to the average person. If you didn't watch the TV series or whatnot, a lot of these other characters are going to be a little new to you. But I don't think they're so new, or I think they're pretty well. The script does a good job of you don't have to know their whole backstories.
No.
The little bits that you need, it will give you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Florence Pugh, she anchors the movie and she carries it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean carries it in that nobody else is doing any work.
No, but she's the flag bearer or whatnot.
So and if that doesn't work, then the movie doesn't work. But the movie works. Movie absolutely works, and I hope. I heard some of its early Rotten Tomatoes numbers, and we've talked about Rotten Tomatoes before. I don't want to look. I hope its numbers stay high so that people that were on the fence are like, oh,
yeah,
maybe we should go, because you should go.
Well, it was. I did see, and I saw this on Instagram. It is certified fresh at the moment.
Which at one point I think they had it at 95.
Yeah, I mean it should be. And I don't really usually care too much about Rotten Tomatoes, but it I know a lot of people look at it.
Yeah.
And this one does deserve to be fresh. Now, is it the greatest thing since whatever? I don't know. I'm inclined to say they've done better and they will do better, but they haven't done better for quite a while now. So that this is, like I said, it's I was emotionally involved. I am interested in seeing where the story goes.
Because by the end of this, they can't just cut this off.
No. This is a
piece moving forward.
Yes, this is an important building block for whatever they have going.
Yep.
So whatever has, there's some it's been ambiguous.
Yeah.
For a little while, what they're doing, and for the first time in a long time, it feels like they have an actual plan.
Yep.
And it's kind of strange. There is a little bit of reference to the recent Captain America film, a couple different points.
It references it.
Yeah.
It acknowledges it reminds you that it's the same universe and how some characters got to hear.
Yes.
So it's important, but it doesn't dwell on it
No, it's
once you're there.
there's, I think, there's one direct reference, and then
Yeah.
towards the end there's another a little bit, but so that gets factored in. But surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, it the Captain America film doesn't seem to have nearly as much impact as this film does, I think, on the
No,
future.
nope, not till, well, at the end, it kind of rears its ugly head again.
Yeah.
And I don't mean ugly, you know what I mean. So it's an
Yes.
expression, people get off it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, it's Rotten Tomatoes still has it at 88.
That's good.
So yeah, it is. It's absolutely that guy. I think I had Sinners at 8 out of 10. I probably have this at an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's funny
I'm probably there.
because I think Sinners is a very interesting film that I have a few issues with, but it was obviously doing something incredibly different.
Yeah.
And I think that this film, while maybe not nearly as risky, it also is doing something different. Something that maybe this is exactly what superhero movies needed, is something that did think completely out of the box. And there are going to be some people who probably don't like the thinking out of the box, or they wanted more of the same, and that's understandable, and it's, I guess that's fine. I mean, it is fine if that's your preference, but I think for a lot of us, the fact that this was willing to be different,
Yeah.
and that alone gave it some points, but then the fact that it was different and good,
Yeah.
makes a world of difference. I mean, if
Well,
they'd,
sometimes you have, if you can execute the fundamentals well,
yeah,
um, then your degree of difficulty becomes a factor. This does the fundamentals for the most part, and a degree of difficulty in keeping these characters interesting and relatable and together while blowing up. So it's not a huge degree of difficulty. Like the Eternals had a degree of difficulty that was off the charts, but then it failed at the fundamentals,
yeah,
which is
sure.
part of the reasons that the Eternals failed so hard. But this, it focused on telling these characters' stories in a way that advanced the bigger story they were trying to tell, and then to move the universe forward. Not move the universe forward and, oh, these are the characters doing it. And so I think that approaching it in the correct sequence is also important.
Yeah.
So that's how I roll. But like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. Again, like I said, when I walked out, and I was like, damn, that was all right. And it's more than all right. I'm at an 8 out of 10. For me,
Yeah.
it's easily the best thing since Endgame. It is not better than Endgame, folks. That's what the since means.
Yeah.
So I don't know, cinematically speaking, of course, what has
Sure.
come out since that is better than this. But it's the most enjoyable. It's the most complete. It's the most coherent.
It is, yeah, and I think that was this didn't feel tampered with.
No, but again, I'm hoping that that's a fundamental change at Marvel, and not a, we were worried about Fantastic Four, so we
Yeah.
were,
Distracted.
distracted by messing up the Fantastic Four. Like I said, I hope this is indicative of what we have moving forward with that. So, but again, kind of a similar crew with similar experiences in the Marvel universe. So it'll be interesting to see if the Fantastic Four continues this. Again, my concern then is still casting, but again, they're actors. Prove me wrong.
See, and I like the cast for
I
the most
like
part. So
the people in the cast. I don't know if I like the people in the cast as this cast.
sure. Well, we'll just have to see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. That's a prove. I'm willing to let you prove me wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. And again, that's what this all boils down to. I want you to make a good movie. I want to come out and go, I enjoyed the hell out of that. That's what I'm hoping for Fantastic Four now. Again, I
Yeah.
feel much better creatively. So now we'll check the execution. But creatively, I feel a lot better. The building blocks are there. So Last thoughts on Thunderbolts? Any?
Um, I don't know. We did see it in IMAX, and it was fun seeing it in IMAX.
It was.
Always prefer a film in IMAX if we can get it. This one I think is larger than life, and so if you can, I would not wait to see this on Disney Plus.
No.
This is a film that you should see in a theater, and it's the quality of it is well worth whatever you might pay to see this one.
The final
With
battle scene was really good on the big
Oh
screen.
yeah. Oh, there's
That,
a
that was great.
yes. There's a lot of visual stuff here. Um, and I think this is a film that most of us will probably see twice in theaters, just because there's some layering. So there's some things I think that I probably didn't catch the first time, or if I did, some of them I caught after. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that's why that. Um,
That's why that.
that's why that was,
Yeah.
that's why we saw that. Um, uh, so no, I think it's a very good film. We are deep into the Marvel thing, so I almost think it might, you know, what? Yeah, I think some of the characters. I think you probably need to have seen Black Widow. Um,
It would help, I think,
uh,
but I still don't even know that it's
I don't
necessary.
know that you have to, but I think that would help a little bit. But I think a lot of the relationships I said are explained at least to a certain extent. Um, yeah, I really don't want to recommend watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but whatever. Anyway,
See, I enjoy, again, that's one I enjoyed more than you, but I
yeah,
acknowledge there are problems.
yeah. Anyway, no, go see it.
Yeah.
I think if you like comic book movies and were worried or tired of what you were getting, this one's a little bit different.
Yep.
This is different enough that I think that you should give it a shot.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree wholeheartedly. Uh, don't forget to like us, follow us on social media, go to the website, vsmoviepodcast.com. That's where all the links to all of our junk will be. Sure. All the tenses. Why not? Uh, until we talk again, I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
See you guys.
We'll talk to y'all later. Bye bye.